We're going to take you live now to Canberra, where the Chinese ambassador, Xi Qiao, is speaking.
Take this opportunity to thank our friends from the media. What I'm going to do today is I'll briefly talk about the past 1 year of the relationship between China and Australia. And secondly, I want to express my gratitude for the cooperation we've been having over the past 1 year before the embassy, before myself and our media in this country. And thirdly, briefly, I will talk about China, the recent situation, the COVID, and etc. Then I open for the questions and answers. I know that some of you have interesting issues they'd like to seek my views, and I will try my best to respond to those questions. Well, the year 2022 was an extraordinary year for the relationship between China and Australia. I have a long speech paper, but I'm not going to read it. I've just picked some of the keywords. The first keyword is the Labour government. The last May, the election was held, the federal election. It was, of course, there was the domestic affair of Australia. But when the Labour government came to power last May, it did offer an opportunity for China and Australia to reset the relationship between our two countries, which had been going through a difficult period of time over the past couple of years. There were good views from Chinese side, from Australian side. There were communication at various levels through various channels since the Labour government came to power last May. Exchange of messages, exchange of letters, bilateral meeting between the defense ministers, bilateral meeting between the two foreign ministers, and of course contacts through diplomatic channels at various levels. Through all these contacts, both sides have reconfirmed or reaffirmed some of the important points that have been guiding the relationship of our two countries for the past several decades. I'm not going to call those points as the new consensus. They have been the consensus. They've been there for many decades. They've been guiding the relationship for several decades. But it's very important for us to reconfirm that these are still the consensus both sides agree. They include, for example, comprehensive strategic partnership. This is how we define the relationship. They include, for example, both sides are ready to work constructively to cooperate wherever in the areas where we have common ground. They include the point like both sides agree to address differences. We do have differences in certain respects. We even have disputes in certain areas like trade disputes. But both sides agree to address these differences in a constructive manner. By that I mean we can address the differences in a way that will not allow the differences to hijack the overall relationship between our two countries, not allow them to hijack the cooperation between our two countries. The consensus also includes jointly celebrating the 50th anniversary. That last year was the year where we established our diplomatic relations on December 21st, 1972, 50 years ago. Of course, we also have a common points where in many other areas, regional issues, international issues, multilateralism, etc. So the first keyword is the Labour government offered a good opportunity, and both sides took the opportunity and reached or reconfirmed some of the consensus. A second keyword I would like to say is the leaders' meeting. Based on the consensus reached between the two sides after a couple of months of communications, we had a very successful bilateral meeting between President Xi and Prime Minister Albanese on the sideline of the G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. It was positive, it was constructive, and it was productive. It set up the tone for the relationship between our two countries. It set up the future directions for the future relationship. As President Xi put it in his meeting with President Albanese, this is a relationship important for both sides, and both sides should work together to improve, to uphold and to develop the relationship. My understanding is that by improvement, we understand that we have been going through some difficult period of time. We need to do something to make up for those issues. There are a lot of issues we can compare notes and see how we can continue to work on.